To art and beauty.
And the night ahead.
A Wounded Fawn. This is, well, quite the interesting love letter to classic stylistic horror films out of the 70s, while also dealing with a modern retelling of a classic story. So it's a modern retro style film, if that makes any sense. It takes place in modern day anyway, but it's shot with the 70s style. It's got a bunch of homages to several art styles and has the focus on the retelling of a Grecian myth, a lesser known one though, so it's forgivable overall to piece together later during the film, although at least some literary knowledge on the myth will help with a few lines and details. But before all that, what even is this film about? Weird title, weird look, what the heck is this? A Wounded Fawn mainly follows a museum curator named Meredith, played by Sarah Lind, who does a fantastic job, by the way. Looking forward to seeing more of her. Who, after leaving an abusive relationship, proceeds to head to a cabin in the woods with her new boyfriend, who just so happens to be a deranged serial killer. As it goes. You know how that goes. And what follows is a macabre dive into insanity. It's surreal, yet determined in its approach. The homages aren't blatant, but appreciative. I quite like this one, but I can see people being confused or annoyed at some heavier-handed imagery or metaphors. This was directed by Travis Stevens, a still relatively new director who previously did The Girl on the Third Floor, which I haven't seen, and Jacob's Wife, which I have seen. Check out my review for that up there in the corner. This film is very different than those two though, as this is planted firmly in experimental territory. Focused entirely on telling a story out of the 70s, set in the modern day though, which includes the shooting style, soft audio, and even including direct references to films like Using a Black Dog as No Men, and focusing a lot on color theory just like Argento, even using a very bright paint-like acrylic color for blood instead of its natural hue. This can be seen in a lot of Argento films. Once you see it, you know exactly what it is. And like I said, the audio is very soft. It pops sometimes because it's meant to look like something out of the 70s. Even the film grain has some artifacts here or there that I'm not sure if it was done on purpose or just shot with similar equipment. I'm gonna have to do a bit more of a deep dive to figure that out, but I didn't see anything like that. It helps to give the film an air of mystique that helps it to feel out of time but still modern. The overall story is a bit cliched, unfortunately. It does have a decent twist at least, and I like the focus on the myth of the Orestes, the man from the Iliad that is driven mad by the Furies. There are some small details that aid in referencing the myth, but they aren't directly brought up or confirmed outside of a main statue that is the first thing you see in this film. Other small details are largely ignored as well, like Bruce's very red bracelets. The imagery is the strongest part of this flick that makes or breaks it, and while some references get a bit too heavy-handed, for example, at one point Bruce dons a toga as he's running around. If the Greek influence wasn't burned into your brain already by a focus on a statue literally referred to as the Wrath of the Erinyes or the Furies. I like how the film is separated into two acts as well, focusing on one character before switching to focus on another. And again, it also another focus on Greek plays, with the second act shifting the focus and putting the world on its head. There's a lot of philosophical babble thrown about as well, but I find it quite serviceable. Some people might find some sequences unintentionally funny, like I did, like with a random stovepipe monster out of nowhere that feels way too Evil Dead 2 for this. Oh yeah, this film isn't a comedy. It's a tense psychological thriller. I feel those few scenes though are unintentionally funny, especially the very ending scene when the credits roll. That has to be intentionally funny, I feel. It also stars Josh Rubin as Bruce, who does a fantastic job. He's very damn good, switching his personality around with his victims and giving a wonderfully unhinged performance, especially when it just focuses on him reacting to some insane visuals. Like, look at this, what is this? And his reaction to it's great. He knows how to improve these things, and yet he's also very creepy and threatening. He reminds me of those Creep movies actually in this regard. He was great casting. I'm excited to see how far his career is going after College Humor, and with his directorial directorial successes, in my opinion, like scare me. He and Jordan Peele should collaborate maybe, I don't know, I'm just saying. But I find it interesting that he has a focus on comedy and improv, and now he comes in doing a very tense psychological thriller, but still, manages to put in some funny moments. Like I said, I'm not spoiling anything, but the ending is honestly kind of ironically funny, I guess. I thought it was funny. But yeah, this film is heavy on the art and very, very heavy on surrealism, which makes me question what characters really saw in various moments of the first act. If that isn't your thing, you might be very confused by some of those things, especially in the first act, and then laughing incredibly hard at others in the second. Personally, I enjoy these sorts of films a lot, and this is no different. I go in and I want something surreal with crazy visuals that make me confused and unsure of how to properly respond to it, because that happens quite a lot with these art house type flicks. But this isn't something like The Cell. This is its own unique thing. It does ultimately stumble in some areas, but then it soars way more often than not. I say go see it. It's streaming on Shudder right now. Give it a watch and let me know. A Wounded Fawn gets an 8 out of 10 from me. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around for another one. This one popped up on Shudder, and I had seen it advertised a bit on Twitter, and I was very curious about it. And then when I started up, I'm like, oh, okay, I see exactly what's going on here, just because it immediately brings in the classic shots, the pulled back visuals. Some shots are very wide and symmetrical, and I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing. I see the Argento influences here. I know what's going on. And overall, it's a fun ride. I kind of wish it fixed up a couple of things here. Maybe it was a little longer. Maybe he had a third act. It's just 2 acts, which is a little odd, but it makes sense because there's only 2 main characters and you gotta focus on those. But still, I think this is unique and I think this is fun, and people should go see it. If it sounds interesting or if it looks interesting to you, check it out. It's fairly short, and it's just a fun ride that'll make you question what the heck you're even looking at and try and figure out symbolism with various characters and costumes, because there's a lot here that they just don't explain. Like I said, the wristband, the camera focuses on it a few times. It's never brought up, it's never played with, it's just there, which I feel like it could have used at least maybe a little bit of an explanation. But if you know the myth of the arrestees, you might be able to guess as to what it means. At least I have a theory. I don't think it's going to be confirmed. This is a one and done. There's no sequel or anything. At least I don't think so. But definitely this is still interesting. Give it a watch. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. What do you think the bracelet is about? What do you think other questions are? And are any of you confused by something else going on in this film? Let me know. And after that, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a video, and that's it. Have a great day, and if you're not, have a better one. See ya.
I'm just a ghost in your stereo, the fading memory of a shipwreck in the undertow. You're just a lost soul, and I'm just a ghost in your stereo.